Dr. Herman, your comments about, I don't want to mischaracterize it, but it seemed to be that like innovation it can't be its own separate thing. It needs to be part of like everything going on. It made me think of Elton Morrison's famous book, Men, Machines, in Modern Time, where she talks about innovation is often just iterative, but it also involves like unique human beings with unique personalities. At times, these are like very the type of human beings that would not necessarily get promoted in the military, right? John Boyd was mentioned earlier, right? I mean, that's probably a great example of it. I guess what I'm driving at is, you know, we talk about innovation, we talk about like the org chart of DoD, we talk about funding, but ultimately I think it comes down to like a cultural issue of are we promoting and empowering humans that can take intelligent risk and rewarding them for taking intelligent risk? I don't know what the precise question is there, but maybe you can comment on that, even if it's just to push back on my analysis.
Sure, I think you can probably get excellent comments from everybody here on, on that one. I guess my view would be, when I'm thinking about innovation and productivity and production, is that you have on the one hand, you have the commercial sector, in which innovation is a necessity in order to compete in the marketplace. You always have to make things better and make things faster and make them cheaper. It's the nature of the business you're in. In the military, I think confronting the issue of innovation is when things go wrong, right? It's when you're in the field and suddenly you realize something is not working, and you've got to try something else. Maybe a new technology, maybe a new tactics, maybe an entire new strategic rethink. This is why so often the winner of the last war becomes the loser of the next, right? World War I, the French and the British. World War II, the French, we're looking forward. They were actually looking forward to the German invasion, you know. Yeah. General Gamelin was rubbing his hands with glee when he learned that the Germans were going to attack, because he had thought he had figured out exactly how to beat them based on the experience of the First War, right? Yeah. This is how innovation comes in. So in both cases, you just put your finger on the common factor for both: risk-taking. Yeah. Risk in business, which sometimes leads to failure. Your business goes under, and you start a new one. In the military, I'm going to say in military, a defense industrial base, there's risks. Yeah. Projects will fail. One of the great virtues, I think, with DARPA is precisely that. They do know that a lot of their projects are going to fail, and it's understood from the beginning that some of these are just not going to work out. I think the challenge is to bring a similar mindset, an openness to risk, a willingness to embrace failure on the small scale in order to bring about success on the large scale, that remains the next big cultural cliff to climb at our current Department of Defense.
Well, let me put a finer point on it and invite your comment, Colonel Gunzinger. I just wonder if John Boyd, who's as much of a Marine Corps hero as an Air Force hero, whether he would have made it past the rank of captain in today's military. Just
probably not.
Yeah.
Although I hear it's pretty easy to make major mistakes.
Is your microphone on?
I apologize. It is now. One of the things we cannot do is turn innovation over to a bureaucracy. We've seen that in the past. We saw DoD establish the Transformation Office during the time Secretary Rumsfeld was in charge. And actually, I took over that office as a DASD. But you turn bureaucracy loose on innovation, and you get anything but, more often than not. That's why we have Rapid Capability Offices, a Strategic Capabilities Office. That's why we have DARPAs, because they work outside the current processes to bring good ideas to the fore, to the operators and planners who hold the money. But there has to be resources and a promise of some transition, and that requires leadership. You have to have leaders saying, I agree, we must take that risk. This is transformational. We need to break through the resistance of current programs and actually put money behind this and fund it. If it doesn't work, I'll take the hit. but I think we need to do this, and that takes leadership.
Final comments on the human dimension from Dr. K.
One is, in each of the 4 studies, key figures that are leading the innovation have extended tenure. So I'll give you, I was on the Joint Forces Command Advisory Board. Typical tenure for a commander there was a year, maybe 2. You can't give somebody a 10-year job and give them 2 years to do it.
Yeah.
And when General Mattis, he called me in around 2008 and said, you know, Andy, I'm thinking of shutting this down. And part of the conversation was, to really get this to work, what you'd want to do is find a Jim Mattis, give him 3 years at Joint Forces Command. If he was making progress, give him another 3 years, and then fleet him up to Vice Chairman of the Joint Chiefs for a 4-year tour. That 10-year to see something through. And so it's part of it is identifying these people.
I'm thinking of naval reactors.
Naval reactors,
right?
Yeah, certainly Rickover's.
Legacy.
General Creech, who headed TAC Air during the Revolution and basically the Air Force, headed TAC Air for 6 years, from 78 to 84, and General Dixon before him was like-minded. Jackie Fisher in the Royal Navy had something called the fish pond, because they were all trying to institutionalize. They realized that after they left, if they hadn't done that, there was going to be a backfill. And in each case, there's this, if you want to know if a military is really engaged in disruptive innovation, there's going to be blood on the streets, okay? Look at the Marine Corps. General Berger, whether he had the right idea or not, you knew he was trying to do something. If you look at, for example, Fisher, I'll just give you the best example. He ends up defending himself in a session, in a series of hearings at the Committee on Imperial Defense, headed by the Prime Minister, because the syndicate of discontent has come out against him, admirals, politicians, and so on. Same thing with the American Navy in the period between the World Wars, knife fights going on, you know, basically between the gun club, the battleship admirals, and the aviation advocates. So people matter. People matter a great deal.
Thank you all. This has been phenomenal. I guess more than anything else, we need our warriors to read and write so that our fighting isn't done by fools, as the old saying goes. And they have a good place to start with all of your testimony and the books you've written that informs it. And this has been a really enriching conversation. So thank you for joining us. Thanks to the ranking member. And with that, the subcommittee hearing is adjourned.